I'm going to talk to you about damages, and then I'm going to show you some demonstrative evidence as soon as we get the picture up. I like to start with Aristotle's principles of persuasion. 2,300 years ago, Aristotle, in his discourse on rhetoric, said the first one was maximize your salient points and minimize your weaknesses. And in doing so, how do you know? The real question that we have and that we're wrong about a lot of times is, do you know what your weaknesses are and what your salient points really are? Sometimes we find out too late. We don't find out until we're in the courtroom and here at the same time the jury does as to what our weak points are. So in order to find out what your weak points are and to find out how to really maximize your salient points, what really does resonate, focus groups. 2 words, focus groups. We focus every single case and we focus damages. We focus damages last because we want to know everything there is to know about our case before we start trying to put together our damages package. I did not say we start working on damages at the end. I said we put together our whole damages package. Our damage proof begins with the first interview with the client. But then we wait until the end and then we focus our damages because at that point we know all there is to know and we can know if we have weaknesses in our liability that's going to affect our damages. So the next thing is to refresh the memory of your audience frequently. This simply means that you have a theme. You have a theme on liability, obviously, but you also have a theme on damages. My theme on damages will often be something they'll vary obviously from case to case, but it may very well be the courage of the plaintiff. This is a plaintiff who's doing the very best they can with what they have left. There are a lot of things that it may be. Your theme may be your client's plan for rehabilitation, how they're executing their own rehabilitation plan, and how much more they could be doing if they had the money to do it. But they're doing same thing, they're doing the best they can with their current resources. But more resources, then they can get the kind of help that they need. The next thing is to execute the required level of emotion. Now, when you're talking about damages, you have to be very careful these days. Because of the rhetoric of tort reform, and if you heard my speech on Generation X and Generation Y, which most of our jurors come from those groups today, they're skeptical about us. They're skeptical about our clients. And so you don't want to start your emotional presentations too early. For the most part, you want your emotional presentation made during closing arguments. And I like to actually save the real emotional part for the closing portion of the closing argument because it's the last thing they hear, it's what I leave them with, and it does not give the defense a chance to respond to it. But if you start in, I think the dumbest thing you can do is to start in with an injury case and start talking about the injury first. Just start putting on evidence, or even start talking about it on voir dire first, or start talking about it in opening statement first. I think we have to, these days, make an appeal that makes them understand why it matters what those injuries are. We've heard debriefings on juries where they say, yeah, we heard all that, but so what? I mean, yeah, I heard all that pain and suffering, mental anguish and all that, but they're sitting there thinking, what does that have to do with me?